There's also a lot of ways to repeat affirmation, not just with my book and yoga. You can do games. All kids love bubbles, right? So you can
Mm.
just pop bubbles and say some affirmation every time you pop a bubble. I am beautiful.
You're listening to the Mindful Mama podcast, episode number 324. Today, we're talking about affirmations for parents and kids with Dr. Sandy Zanella. Welcome to the Mindful Mama podcast, now with over 1 million downloads. Here, it's about becoming a less irritable, more joyful parent. At Mindful Mama, we know that you cannot give what you do not have. And when you've calm and peace within, then you can give it to your children. I'm your host, Hunter Clark Field's Mindful Mama mentor. I help smart, thoughtful parents stay calm so they can have strong, connected relationships with their children. I've been practicing mindfulness for over 20 years. I'm the creator of Mindful Parenting, and I'm the author of Raising Good Humans, a mindful guide to breaking the cycle of reactive parenting and raising kind, confident kids. Hey, welcome back to the Mindful Mama podcast. Hi, I hope you are doing okay and you have survived. If you're in the US, your Thanksgiving with your family, okay? Oh my, Thanksgiving. It's amazing. You kind of, we get back into that parent-child relationship again. And isn't it interesting, right? It's like, we kind of think like with our parenting, if we just say this perfect thing, we're going to be the perfect parent. And Thanksgiving really shows us like there's a lot of stuff under the surface that we have to deal with, right? Oh my goodness. But I'm so excited for you to be listening to this episode today. I'm talking to Dr. Sandy Zanella, mom of two, physician by training, kids yoga teacher, and she's the author and creator of Happy Yogis, which is a colorful post by post book inspired by her kids. And she wants to encourage children to love and accept themselves as they are and dreams of really helping families thrive and find joy together. So I'm so excited about this because affirmations, it's interesting because I realize, mindfulness is about coming into the present moment, right? Noticing the sort of stories in our heads and being able to drop the stories because, the thoughts in our heads they're kind of a virtual reality and we can come into real reality. But at the same time, like you're not going to stop yourself from thinking. We still have a storytelling brain. I mean, I've been meditating for over 15 years and I have a storytelling brain. And so I've been really excited about affirmations, working with shifting what are the thoughts and stories we tell ourselves. And that's why in mindful parenting, I created an hour-long mindful parenting affirmations as a bonus that everyone gets when they're lifetime members in mindful parenting. And so I'm excited about affirmations, excited to talk to Sandy about it. We're going to talk about children's mental health and really cultivating that positive inner voice for ourselves and for our kids, particularly. So, awesome episode. Before we dive in, I want to let you know that if you are interested in the Mindful Parenting Teacher Certification Program, if you would like to bring mindful parenting, the curriculum to your community, we give you everything you need and even give you some business training and how to bring it into your community. The teacher training certification program is enrolling now. And so you can apply and it's at mindfulparentingcourse.com/teach. That's mindfulparentingcourse.com/teach. So if you're interested, spots are filling up already. So get in there, get your spot in. And I think that's the only announcement I have. I just want to say I'm happy you're here. I'm happy to talk to you today. And I'm glad that we get to connect. And this is such an awesome episode. So join me at the table as I talk to Dr. Sandy Zanella. Well, I'm excited to talk to you and talk about your adorable book, Happy Yogis. But
Thank
I
you.
think it's really fascinating. Like you're a physician by training. You were a GP before you had your kids, and you've said that like you think mental health is more important than academics, and I would just love for you to kind of talk about that a little bit, like, and because I fully believe this too, like, I completely don't check, the grades are not important to me, like, I wanna make sure they're mental but I'm curious to see how you came to that way of thinking too.
Especially nowadays, right? That we've been going through a lot, adults and children. Um, but I think ideally we would look for a balance, right? However, I don't think we can find that balance if we're not mentally healthy. This is going to impact on our academics and our grades because children are going to be they're going to have lack of sleep, they're not going to be focused, and so that's going to impact in their grades. And then mental, like we start with mental illness impacting school performance, and then that bad academic performance is going to result in a poor mental health, and then it's going to be a cycle. It's kind of like what came first, but I think if we don't have um, good mental health, then we're not going to be able to perform at our best. Like, mental health is associated with better performance, increased learning, creativity, productivity. So I really believe that we should focus right now on mental health, especially in our children. I read this article that college students experience 85% experience um, anxiety and stress on a daily basis. So imagine if those kids or college students were taught how to manage their emotions when they were little, like the way they would have navigated and their outcome would have been totally different. So I really believe that we should focus on mental health, especially in
Mhm.
children, like young children, starting from young
Yeah.
age.
Yeah. I definitely think it's like a movement because we were all realizing that like it just affects everything. And I'm wondering for you, like you're a physician, so you had to go through like the gauntlet of
Oh,
academic
yes.
training of like, undergraduate school, graduate school, physician training, like how many years of like postgraduate work,
Yeah.
that goes into that. Did you have most physicians that I know had parents that were really into, were very academic success oriented. So I'm wondering if that was like the way you were raised with like a real emphasis on that academic success rather than like our mental well-being.
I am blessed because no, my parents never pressure me in any way, not in school, not through med school, never. That they always showed how proud they were of me. And so I never felt like, oh, I'm having a bad grade and I need to perform or I need to study more. I never felt pressure. It was pressure about me, myself, towards myself. But them, they were super supportive. Like that was something that never happened to me. Like my parents were pressuring me. Thank God.
Wow, so you're in the minority. Imagine for
Yeah.
most people who are kind of in that training. Do you mind sharing like how were you parented when you were little? And I'm curious because it's such an interesting con- thing that we all go through. Like we're either taking some things with us or we're wanting to like leave some things behind. So what was your upbringing like?
I think a lot of mixed emotions. Like, um, my parents were very authoritarian. Like their style was authoritarian, like the typical because I say so, no explanation, don't do this, don't do that, don't do the other. And I'm Mexican. So I don't know if this is cultural thing and with the authoritarian style, like there I didn't have the nurturing, I didn't hear often that I was loved, that I was beautiful, so that affected me and my self-esteem.
Mm,
Um, but I am grateful because I know that they worked with what they had, like the
mhm,
knowledge they had from the only knowledge they had from how the way they were parented,
mhm.
and the resources that they had, which was like nothing because I was born and raised in Mexico. And so imagine in a small town, like they didn't have access to books or articles, back then.
No internet.
So yeah, imagine. Um, so I know that they broke cycles.
Mm,
They were spanked. They were not even spanked, like hit, like big time, and they didn't do that to us, me and my brother. So even though it was very authoritarian, it was very dry, um I know that they were trying their best, just how all parents were trying, but thank God now we have a lot of resources that we can, like, for example, now your podcast, like I know a lot of people are listening and they are getting pieces here and there. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of knowledge that our parents didn't have. And yeah, it was very authoritarian.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, but considering that time, there's still so many parents today who think that like spanking is something that you should do.
Yeah.
Is so for them to have that restraint raising you, that's that they were maybe ahead of their time because that wasn't my parents in like Rhode Island. So your parents in Mexico, maybe it's from what I understand
Yeah.
as a person who would a white woman born and raised in Rhode Island. It seems more authoritarian from the people I've talked to and the friends I have that are
Okay.
Mexican who've seen that. But so good kudos to your parents for
Thank you.
for
and
there. Yeah, go ahead.
I see the way they approach my children now. Like they tell them they love them. They are more. But I think what affected me the most, like if we are talking about like the outcome, um, is that I didn't have hugs. Like I
Mm,
couldn't go and hug them. Even now, it feels kind of weird, even though
yeah.
we kind of like hug more. It sounds so silly, but and I see that they do it with my children now, and they do it with me too, because I think they evolve, they're reading, and so I'm glad that they're changing, they're trying to become better, even with my kids.
Go parents. That's great. So what are some things that you wanna take from them and bring into what are some things that you take from them you really want to bring into your parenting, and what are some things that you're changing and doing differently?
The support that they always gave me, and now I think, yeah, the way they show me how they love me is different. Like they maybe they was not like this with but we were doing stuff, like it was fun. And I one thing that I really want to do with my children is, like, every day we would go and watch the sunset, and we would just go and slow down, stay there, and make a wish. Like that's something that stay with me forever. And I think
Mm.
they weren't even trying to slow down. I think they were just like they didn't even know what slowing that meant, probably, but we were doing that every day. I don't know, I'm gonna
Mm.
actually ask who came with that idea, but we were doing it every single day. Because we live by the beach. So I think stuff like that, like being teaching them how to be there, enjoy the moment, and be supportive with anything. Like none of my parents or my family studied medicine, and still they did their effort to send me to school, and that. And what I wouldn't do is just the communication, the bonding, the
Mhm.
emotional connection. I am really trying hard to affirm my kids, that I tell them 1,000 times that I love them. What I think is what I wanted to hear.
Mhm.
Like I'm doing what I wish I would have heard when I was little. Like, you are beautiful, or you're doing amazing. Because even if yeah, they are supportive, but they will never tell you, wow,
Mm.
you did amazing.
Mhm.
Never, like never. Like how you were asking me before, like about their grades, they never pressured me, but they also never praised me.
Mm.
Like they
Mhm.
never say, "Oh, wow, you did amazing. Oh, you did this." Never. So it
Mhm.
was always, I was always thinking, did they are they proud? They were
Mhm.
saying, but it's something weird. Like the way they approach and made me feel was like they were not proud because of that. So I think I just want to make sure that my kids know that I love them, and that they can come and hug me, and they can come and tell me anything what they want, and I'm gonna be there for them. not scared, that I want them to come to me first, even if they did a mistake, because I was scared, I would I would never go to them in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can relate to that, not be wanting to go to my parents, but it's funny because as you describe your parents, like, all the work that I have done with mindful parenting, like, a lot of it, like, stems from my relationship with my father and not wanting to have the temper that I inherited from him,
Yeah.
and but one of the good seeds, and he had a big temper and I was spanked, but, like, one of the good seeds that he passed on to me that was really wonderful, it was this, like, like, as you're describing it was this affirming thing, like, just appreciating, telling me how proud he was of me, telling me he loved,
Oh,
all of these things, like, and that was, just saying that stuff out loud mattered, it really matters to kids. So you in your book, you talk about, like, affirmations and things like that, and this is something that I've come around to a lot more. I used to kinda have, like, kind of the cultural idea of affirmations, like, "Oh, yeah, right," like, we would kinda like, it culturally, it'd be made fun of in Saturday Night Live or whatever, and I used to have this kinda, like, cynical idea about it, but now that I understand more about the way the brain works and how we have this natural negativity bias, and
yeah.
that it takes actual our default brain is naturally kinda anxious and negative,
Negative.
because we're
Yeah,
just
so
like
sad.
we evolved this, it's just part of our survival, right? Like, that's just the way it is. That's the default. So it takes effort to train the brain to be more positive and to find the good and things like that. So I'm curious for you about how you came to, like, the work that you've done, clearly, with, like, the yoga, and but specifically the affirmations, because it sounds like that was, like, the voice that you didn't have in your head, you didn't have growing up. It was something that you
Yeah.
had to consciously cultivate. Stay tuned for more Mindful Mama podcast right after this break. I have to tell you about this amazing new service I found called FrameBridge. FrameBridge makes it easier and more affordable than ever to frame your favorite things without ever leaving the house. And trust me, I have framed many things over the years, from art prints to posters to, they frame the photos sitting on your phone. Like, you have some nice photos sitting on your phone and you can frame bridge just about anything. So, this holiday season, FrameBridge is really, really the perfect way to give the gift they'll actually want to receive. It's not just slippers, it's not just something, it's something that's special, that's meaningful, something that only you can give. And so we can really give better gifts this year with FrameBridge. So I'm thrilled that they are a sponsor of the podcast. So here's exactly how it works. You just go to framebridge.com and upload your photo. Or if you have, like, original artwork, they'll send you packaging safely in the mail for physical pieces, right? You preview your item online in dozens of frame styles, and it really is easy to see it. They have gallery wall layouts. You can really get a good view of, like, how it's going to look. You choose your favorite, or you can even get free recommendations from their designers. So the experts at FrameBridge will custom frame your item. They'll deliver your finished piece straight to you or to anyone on your list. So handcrafted, personalized gifts from FrameBridge starts at $39, and all the shipping is free. That's an incredible deal for framing. FrameBridge is really, really professional, high quality, shipped impeccably, and it's so, so easy. Plus, my listeners will get 15% off their first order at framebridge.com when they used the coupon code Mindful Mama. So order online at framebridge.com, or you can, if you live, like, in New York, DC, Atlanta, Philly, Boston, or Chicago, you can go to the Framebridge store, which is super cool. But either way, use the coupon code Mindful Mama. So get started today. Frame your photos or send someone the perfect gift. Go to framebridge.com, use the promo code Mindful Mama to save an additional 15% off your first order. That's framebridge.com, promo code Mindful Mama. Framebridge.com, promo code Mindful Mama. It's going to be an amazing holiday season with this.
Yeah, I think that's why I wrote this book with affirmations, because it's something that affected me, and that I had to work hard with my self-esteem, self-confidence, till these days. Um, and I think our inner voice is based on the things we've heard as a child. So
Mm.
that makes our parents, like, or our caregivers, what they say about us, it's going to impact in our self-talk. So
Yeah.
for me, affirmations, I've seen the benefit in myself and my children. Like, for example, my daughter, she has very curly, beautiful coiled hair, like beautiful. Like, you can see my hair is like wavy. And so for me, it was easier to just grab the iron and kind of style it, not straight, but not curls. So when she was like 4, she was like, "Mom, I want you to do my hair like yours." And I was like, "Wow, no, your hair is beautiful," and that shocked me. I was like, "Wow, she wants to have my hair, but she's like beautiful hair." And I was like, "No," I got like very anxious, and I was like, I threw my iron, and I was like, "No, I'm gonna wear my hair how it is." And so and she started saying that she didn't like her hair and she didn't want to have curls. So what I started doing, it was like, we've always done affirmations, like, but very general. I am beautiful, I am unique, like, not focused. But this time I was like, let me focus on her hair. And so we were specifically repeating affirmations, like, I have beautiful hair, I love my hair, I love my curls. And we were doing that every morning. And now, like, it didn't took us years, but like now, um, she loves her hair. Like, every time someone stops her and says, "Oh, beautiful hair," she says thanks and she smiles because she knows she loves her hair. And so that's the power. She believed that her hair is beautiful, and I was telling her her hair is beautiful, but also I had her tell to herself that her hair was beautiful and that she loved her hair, and now she's she's obsessed with her hair. So
Yeah, and you showed her too, like, you accepted and embraced that part of yourself too. I
yeah.
think there's part of that too. How did you discover affirmations as a tool in general, and what were some of the first ones you ever said to yourself?
Yeah, and so when I was pregnant, I started going to prenatal yoga.
Mhm.
I had just moved to Miami. I didn't know anyone. Um, so I was like, I'm going to go to a class, and I chose prenatal yoga. I wasn't into yoga back then. And so our teacher, she was a doula. And me, I always thought, oh, I hope I'm gonna have a C-section. I was skinny, and I was like, I want to have a C-section. I don't want to have a baby, like, natural vagina, like natural. I don't want to suffer. I had that mindset because in
Yeah.
Mexico, like, the rates of C-section for no reason are like super high, like 60%. They choose when they want to have their baby, and that's it. And so I had that idea. And this teacher, she started like repeating affirmations and mantras and all that, and she changed my mindset from I want to have a C-section to I want to have my baby natural and without epidural. Like,
Mm.
through my whole pregnancy, repeating, my
What
body is my. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, what were some of the affirmations that she had you say?
Yeah, she was like telling us that I don't specifically remember,
Yeah.
but like things like, my body is wise and smart and knows what to
Mm.
do. I
Mm.
am ready, I am prepared, I am strong and stuff like that. Like, really believing that naturally I was made to have babies, so I could do it. I could do it, and there's nothing to be afraid of. I'm strong mentally also.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that was the first time I think I heard affirmations,
Mhm.
or that I realized what were they for. And from then on, I was in love with that. Like, I was using them every day, and that's how also my self esteem, I changed my self confidence also, because I always was like, I thought I was shy, but I think it was like my self confidence. Like, I was not confident to even make friends. I was very. I thought, but now that I realized, I think it was that I didn't have self esteem, high self
Mm.
esteem.
Mhm. Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Like, I think about that, like, as parents, we want to, there are lots of moments where we're kind of critical of our kids. And kind of we have to be sometimes, right? Like, we've got to brush those big nuts out of your hair, honey, or like the orange peel is on the counter or whatever it is, right? Like
Yeah.
your stuff is everywhere, right? There are those, we have to point out those things if we want to have kind of a healthy, a reasonably like uh, flowing household, right? But um, but that voice of that criticism becomes kind of embedded, and if we don't have that counter voice, then it that becomes really dominant. I mean, it's not everything. There is that natural negativity bias, which leads to
Yeah.
that criticism. And then, it's like, actually, I had to talk about that with my kids recently. It was like, oh, my negativity bias met your negativity bias as my 14-year-old and I discussed something that happened. And we kind of laughed at it. But like, it, what you were doing is really training your mind to do something different, to do this positive thing, and just with practice and repetition, uh, it helped you. Did it help you with your birth?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the end, I had to have epidural because the nurse said, like, you were so stiff, like you're not relaxing because you're trying to contain the pain. So
Mm,
please let me put the epidural and then you're gonna relax and then you're gonna have your baby. And otherwise you're gonna have to have a C-section because you've been too long with my water broke. Like it was like
mhm.
20 hours. So the doctor's like, is this or you're going to surgery. So I was like, okay, let's do it. And it was like magic, epidural. And then with my second, I was like, okay, I want the epidural right away, like the beginning. And then for some reason, my boy was like, his head was big, and so I was pushing, and he was coming back. And the doctor, she said, you know what? I'm going to have to take out the medication so you can feel the pain and you can push him out because we were there. I was pushing for 1 hour. I was exhausted. And then I was like, oh, karma. I wanted to have my first without epidural. Now they're taking it. So I
Be
had my
careful what you wish for.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, you know, you're now, so you learn these affirmations as like when you're pregnant, and have you incorporated them into your life in other ways? Like,
Yeah.
what are some of those ways?
Now, for example, I've been like with my book, I've been trying to, keep positive, being grateful that my book is out there, and repeating that people need the work, my mission that I am sharing with the world, stuff like that. I'm trying to, and also to because I keep working with my confidence.
Mhm.
This is a non work like progress, like, so I think I am way better than I was before because it really impacted. Like I was very at some point I couldn't even choose anything, nothing with my husband at some point. I think also like with the postpartum anxiety and all of that, like it increased. But at some point I couldn't even choose where I wanted to go or what I wanted to do, so
Mm.
I started working on my self-esteem that way. Like I am confident, I am able to choose whatever I want, and I have the skills what I that I need, because
And does the voice like in your head, is there like a counter argument that happens sometimes? Like that's the sometimes I think the problem with their affirmations is that, I might say to myself like, "I am confident," and part of me is like, "No, you aren't," So like there becomes this like kind of inner argument. Now, does that happen for you, or what do we do when I mean, I've heard that you can say like, "May I be confident," right? Like, may I have this? So what has that happened for you?
yeah, not really, because I want this to be true. I think with me it doesn't happen because it does happen to some people, but for me it's like I kind of tired of being not being able to ask for things, even,
Mm,
like before, like when I started. I was very insecure. I couldn't even ask for a favor or to my mom to help me with my baby. I was very insecure. So I think I needed, like, inside me, I was like, I'm ready to just
mm,
change my like, this beauty about the brain, like neuroplasticity. Like, I was ready to rewire my brain and say, like, I don't want this negative anymore. And and so if that happens to me, yeah, I do say, may I, or I am ready to
mm,
do this. Like, I am ready
mm,
to, I don't know, whatever goal, and be more specific. Maybe sometimes, yeah, I am beautiful, and maybe we don't feel beautiful. Like, there's people who really, they don't feel beautiful, and it's kind of like looking in the mirror and say, I am beautiful. I don't feel beautiful.
mm,
So just like by going back a little bit and just being grateful for whatever you have, like maybe at night, what I've done when I work with my body positivity is, at night I am grateful for my legs, that they help me go to places, that kind of things. And maybe not
mm.
starting straight to I have the most beautiful legs, or whatever,
Yeah.
to just you know I am grateful for this part of my body that helps me, I don't know, hold my kids,
Yeah.
or my
Hmm.
belly that, like, I gave life, or stuff like that. So just start, like, with not that straight.
Yeah. Yeah. Not going to the most difficult area, but kind of like,
Yeah.
may I appreciate that my eyes can see these beautiful things. I mean, there are people who can't see. May I have
Yeah.
two legs that I can walk with my children, I have two arms I can hold them. And there are many people in the world who don't have two legs or two arms to hold their children. So it really is important to appreciate those things. My teacher, the Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh, he says, "May I appreciate my lack of earache in this moment." And I think that's wonderful, right? Because when we have an earache, we're like, that's all we can think about. But and then
Yeah.
not having an earache, it's just kind of a neutral moment. But if we can then say, "Oh, isn't it so lovely that I don't
Wow.
have an earache right now?"
Yeah,
It becomes a positive
exactly.
moment. We can start to turn neutral things into positive things, or even negative things into positive things.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. And I think being grateful for everything, like, also when you were saying, my daughter, sometimes she's like, "Oh, I'm tired of walking," and I always tell her, Why don't we just say, oh, I'm grateful for my legs," because my mom, she's having some issues right now with her legs. Like, we've been going through a lot of doctors, and they still can't find what she has, but she's a lot of pain. She cannot be standing for more than 15 minutes. So I'm like, you remember Nonna? That's how we call her. She can't even walk for 10 minutes. So let's be grateful because we can walk and we can go to the supermarket, and, like, turning that negativity into being grateful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that that's a lovely way of looking at it. I think our only danger might be to like that we're dismissing their feelings, that like
Oh,
that we're not kind of hearing or seeing like them. But at the same time, kids can complain a lot.
I know, yeah,
There's
but
a
this is
lot of
this is
like
when, yeah, no, this is we were at the mall, and we just stepped out from the taxi, and she just didn't want to
oh
walk.
my gosh.
Like, I know that she can walk at that point, but yeah, you're right. Hearing them.
So I love happy yogis. It's so nice. So
Thank
when did
you.
you start practicing yoga with your kids, and how do you incorporate the yoga and the affirmations in with your parenting and with your kids? I know that we want to know more about that.
So after my prenatal yoga, I was like, I need to do something about, like, yoga, and it started just because I wanted to do yoga with my daughter. So I did the teacher training when she was 7 months, and then I started giving classes when we were living in Miami and she was little. And then we moved to LA, and I just didn't. Then we moved to New York, and, we were moving a lot, so I just had to stop. But I continued doing yoga with my daughter, and then I got pregnant and started with my son. But my son didn't was not interested. Like he was like, I don't care about what you're doing. Like my daughter, she was like, yes, let's do it. And till today, she's the one who is like very into it. Um, but like I don't know, 6 months ago, my son, like all of a sudden, he's I think he's more into the mindfulness part. He just sits down and he starts like meditating. He sits and he sits down and like this, um, like 5 seconds if you want. But he knows that he can go and sit and meditate when he's feeling overwhelmed or when he's fighting with my daughter, like. So I think he's more into that side of yoga, like the meditation, the mindfulness part, and my daughter is more into the movement. She loves
Mm.
dancing, and so I always put together like affirmations with the poses because I think it's more powerful to repeat the affirmation when you are doing the pose, like you really feel it. Like
Mm.
depending on the type of style of yoga that you're doing, but I love the feeling, when you are like goddess pose or I am strong or plank pose, and you're saying something related to that pose. It feels
Mm.
very powerful.
Oh, I love that. I've done a little of that, but it's not like something I've been exposed I've found around in yoga classes in a lot of different places. So some are the like goddess pose is for those who don't know, like you're kind of like in a wide-legged squat and saying, I am strong, or plank pose is like on your elbows doing a plank and I'm strong. What are some other positions where you might do an affirmation?
Downward dog, upward dog, cat and cow, like
Well, what might you say?
cat,
For, like,
cat,
downward dog or
downward dog. I put I am beautiful,
Mm,
and cat. I am kind. Um,
mm,
tree pose. Tree pose. I am confident.
mm,
Yeah, so I see my daughter, she has a lot of fun like repeating them, and she puts a lot of effort, in the pose, and I can tell that she feels the affirmation. Whereas like when we're just repeating them in the mirror, or there's also a lot of ways to repeat affirmation, not just with my book and yoga. You can do games, like my kids love all kids love bubbles, right? So you can
mm,
just pop bubbles and say some affirmation. um every time you pop a bubble, I am beautiful, I am, and it
mm.
becomes like crazy, but like they just throw affirmations like "Ba, ba, 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 ba," or whatever they feel about themselves. Sometimes my daughter, when she was younger, she would say, I love ice cream, because they don't really
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
know.
That's just a positive statement too,
Yeah.
mom, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm confident, I'm beautiful, I love ice cream. That's
Yeah.
great. Okay, cool. So we can do it in a yoga practice. And yoga practice for kids would be short, right? For if somebody has the book and is like wants to do some yoga practice with their kids, it would probably be pretty short, I imagine.
Yeah, yeah. And well, I actually made the book like kind of like if you want to have it in your common corner or however you want to call it, like maybe you don't want to read the whole book. Maybe you just open one page and their favorite pose. Like my daughter's favorite is camel pose, which is like a bending backwards. Um and then I am unique.
Mm,
And just that, like maybe sometimes when she's like overwhelmed, or I can tell that she's gonna have a meltdown or something, especially when we come back from school, like they've been sitting all day, and those transitions. I just go and I grab the book and I say like, do one post, let's do one post, and to kind of like reset.
mm,
And you don't need to go through the whole book to understand what you're doing, to just open the page and do any pose that you want, and that's it. Close the book and we go have lunch or dinner or whatever. So I wanted to make it like very, very easy to use at
easy to
night before bed. Maybe um boat pose or something, or maybe the meditation, reading the meditation before going to bed. That was
And
the
these are
idea.
all things that we need to incorporate into our own lives so that they can see us walking the
Yeah.
talk and not just something like,
Yes.
here, you seem dysregulated. Why don't you do this thing? Right. So, how are you? What are some of your own mindful self care practices?
I love meditating. For me, I'm kind of like I need to meditate, but I also love mindful walks. Like I think that's like my best thing to do because sometimes I don't want to be like sitting or laying. Something like I want to move. So mindful walks, just walking and breathing. Like not going. I'm not going to the supermarket. I'm not going anywhere. I just want to walk and be there, and try to not think about anything, just being present in the moment and breathing, not judgmental with anything, and not thinking about I need to cook or I need to clean or
Hmm.
my kids need to do their homework. Nothing. I just enjoy walking.
Hmm.
That's something that I really love.
Yeah, I think it's a great practice, especially if you have little kids at home and all of those responsibilities at home and all of that stuff to tag out and say, I'm going for a walk for 20 minutes and just walking without your phone, with your footsteps
Yeah.
touching the earth, breathing in, breathing out, being where you are, noticing where you are, noticing the state of your body, your mind, your environment. That's powerful. It's a powerful reset.
Yeah, and I think my kids also love like walking, but they also my son the other day, my husband was coming out from the room and I was meditating, and my son was like, "Shh, Mama is meditating." Like they know when I am meditating, they know that they're not supposed to like, or
Mhm.
not that I tell them don't come, because even if I tell them they're gonna come, like, but it was funny because I never told him not to come, but for some reason he understood that I was doing that, and he just went to my husband and said, like, "Shh, Mama's meditating. Don't scream," because he was like, "Baby," calling me from the other room. So I
Yeah,
think they know that. And how you said, like, modeling is the best way to teach our children. I think anything.
absolutely, absolutely. So having them see by your example. And dear listener, you are allowed to tell your kids not to come in if you want to. And if they are not the type that would say immediately come in as soon as you say
Yeah, exactly.
that.
The opposite.
I know, I know. Reverse psychology, please come in, come in. um, well, that's cool. So, kids, you've seen like your kids able to meditate, able to practice yoga, do mindfulness, do these affirmations. Um, what what other suggestions do you have? Anything that we haven't covered to for parents who would like to start to incorporate some of these practices with their kids? And I guess, my statement would be, if you're listening, start young, because this is like my 11-year-old, my 14-year-old would give me the big old eye roll at this point, unfortunately. So let's assume you have some young kids, parents with young kids, and they don't want their kids to be rolling their eyes at meditation when they're 14. How can we start them off younger and do some of these
Yeah.
practices?
I think like the best way is modeling, like, doing it yourself and have them come when they're ready. I don't like, even if I am a yoga instructor, I don't like to tell them, "Oh, it's 8 o'clock. Let's do yoga. Let's meditate." Like I don't want them to feel pressure. I want them to really want to do it. So I think if you start doing it first, also to know what you're doing, as a parent or as a teacher, maybe for their classroom, to really feel comfortable with mindfulness, what it is, how I feel, the benefits, and then you're gonna be able to show them to to your children, and by doing it, like, because children will always come to you, right? Like they will always come, whatever you're doing, they will be there next to you, and so. they will come. Like, how is it with my son? Like, he was not into it until 6 months ago that he started. And at some point I was like, oh my God, my son, I'm a kids yoga teacher and my son doesn't like yoga, but I didn't pressure him. And then eventually he's coming and he's doing it. That's why I added him to the book, because he was not in the book. It was just me and my and my daughter. And then when I saw the interest, I was like, okay, I called my illustrator and I was like, you know what, let's add him, because then I'm gonna feel bad that I, I didn't put him in the book. And so, but also like maybe having a special place, like where they know that they're safe and they know that they can have the tools to manage their emotions, and when they feel like meditating or when they feel like maybe reading a book, also not just when a big emotion is happening, but also like big in a sense that maybe they're mad or sad, but also when they're happy. Like, this is going to be their safe place, and this is going to be the place where we can have books about mindfulness, books about meditation, games. I think games is the best way to approach children, because they learn playing. Like, everything is about playing. So if you have games, or even regular games, maybe you have a Jenga, and you can write a pose, and every time you take it out you do a pose or repeat an affirmation. You put just a little sticker and you write down a yoga pose, three pose, and then you take it out and do three pose. So just
Fun
adding
idea.
like games. Who doesn't like to play, the kids, right? And then that's the best way to teach, I think, for children, is by playing. Breathing, we have different things, like we have this how you call it, the pinwheel, the one that.
Yeah, yeah, the breathing pinwheel. Yeah, we have that
Uh-huh.
actually in mindful parenting. We have a little
Oh yeah.
pinwheel template that you can print out.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's great. So, things like that, toys, or toys that they usually have, like turn them into something that it's going to help them. I think that's the best way for them to
Hmm.
learn.
I love this. This is an invitation for you, dear listener, to think creatively about what's around you. I love this idea of the Jenga. That's super cool. You could even do it with blocks too. It's really neat.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
well, Sandy,
And
it's
do it
been
with them.
yeah. Oh, like
Sorry, yeah.
do the blocks with them, like write down the affirmations with
Yeah,
them
because
and share your
sometimes
intention.
or sometimes we're like, okay, here's the book, read it yourself. Or,
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
let's show them also that we want to do it, because here's the blocks, play with them, like, and I'm going to be here looking at my phone. Like, I think it's a great way to bond and have this connection, and they see that it's beneficial for both.
I'm really glad you added that. That's great. Sandy, it's been so lovely to talk to you. I'm really really enjoyed it, and I think these are such helpful ideas for us. So, dear listener, grab the book Happy Yogis, a fun kids
Mhm.
yoga book with positive affirmations. And Sandy, where can people find out more about you and what you're doing?
I am on Instagram, happy at happy.yogis dot book. I'm sorry, I'm confused. At happy.yogis.book. And I also have my personal at my mindful mom life. And my book is on Amazon, Happy Yogis book. And
All
yeah,
right.
I have both versions, English and bilingual, which is Spanish and English.
Oh, that's cool. I love the bilingual books. We had a book of like Hello Ocean and it was Hola Mer and it had like it had
Oh,
both there. So we got to sort of learn some of the Spanish words, which
that's
we didn't know. Yeah.
nice.
Cool. So get the bilingual version, dear listeners. So cool. Thank you so much, Sandy. It's been really a pleasure to talk to you. I'm so glad that you shared your learning and your journey through this book. It's really a really wonderful addition to what's out there. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Hunter, for having me. I'm so happy.
What do you think? Are you going to try some affirmations now? I mean, honestly, they really do make a difference. They make a difference in one of the ways I'm practicing them is I'm writing down at night. I write down 5 things I'm grateful for, just a little list. And then I write down the affirmations. I write down, I am enough and I love and accept myself exactly as I am. I write these down right before I go to bed to really just bookend my day with this positive inner voice. So anyway, I hope this has been a really helpful episode for you. Please remember to subscribe and leave a review for the Mindful Mama podcast. If you find this episode helpful, to share it, all of that stuff, all those ways. If you subscribe, leave a review, and share, woo, that's like the trifecta. And that really helps support my team and the whole podcast, help us get it out to you for all 324 episodes. Amazing, right? So yes, please do that. Subscribe and leave a review. And hey, just a quick reminder, if you're interested in the Mindful Parenting Teacher Certification Program, bringing the Mindful Parenting curriculum to your community, you can apply now for the 2022 session at mindfulparentingcourse.com/teach. And I don't think I have any other announcements for you. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for listening. I love hearing from people how it affects them, and it really affects me. I love that we get to connect each week this way, and I hope that it is helping you. I hope that is making a positive impact on your life. And I wish you an awesome week. I wish you peace and joy, and I wish you some rest and downtime as well. Thank you so much for listening. Namaste.
I'd say definitely do it. It's really helpful. It will change your relationship with your kids for the better. It will help you communicate better. And just, I'd say communicate better as a person, as a wife, as a spouse. It's been really a positive influence in our lives. So definitely do it.
I'd say definitely do it. It's so worth it. The money really is inconsequential when you get so much benefit from being a better parent to your children and feeling like you're connecting more with them and not feeling like you're yelling all the time or you're like, why isn't things working? I would say definitely do it. It's so worth it. It'll change you.
No matter what age someone's child is, it's a great opportunity for personal growth, and it's a great investment in someone's family. I'm very thankful I had this.
You can continue in your old habits that aren't working, or you can learn some new tools and gain some perspective to shift everything in your parenting.
Are you frustrated by parenting? Do you listen to the experts and try all the tips and strategies, but you're just not seeing the results that you want? Or are you lost as to where to start? Does it all seem so overwhelming with too much to learn? Are you yearning for a community of people who get it, who also don't want to threaten and punish to create cooperation? Hi, I'm Hunter Clark-Fields, and if you answered yes to any of these questions, I want you to seriously consider the Mindful Parenting membership. You'll be joining hundreds of members who have discovered the path of mindful parenting and now have confidence and clarity in their parenting. This isn't just another parenting class. This is an opportunity to really discover your unique, lasting relationship, not only with your children, but with yourself. It will translate into lasting, connected relationships, not only with your children, but your partner too. Let me change your life. Go to mindfulparentingcourse.com to add your name to the waitlist, so you will be the first to be notified when I open the membership for enrollment. I look forward to seeing you on the inside. mindfulparentingcourse.com.